This newscast is sponsored by Qbert, Pittsburgh's source for LGBTQ news and community information. Learn more about Qbert by visiting their website at qbert.com. That's QBURGH.com. From the PEP Radio Newsroom, these are the stories we are following at this hour. A group of major LGBTQ rights organizations and activists sent a letter to the Democratic National Committee asking the party to do more to protect the rights of LGBTQ Americans in the face of attacks by the Trump administration and the broader GOP. Representing groups like the Human Rights Campaign, GLAAD, and PFLAG, the letter declared elected Democratic officials have pushed back, voted no, exercised their veto authority, and stood up as champions for LGBTQ people, and particularly for the transgender community. We recognize and appreciate those efforts, but the party's leaders simply must do more. The signatories criticize the actions of certain Democratic officials who have chosen to waver on LGBTQ rights as a compromise with Republicans. Since the election, a small but vocal number of Democratic officials seem to have wavered on their conviction that LGBTQ people deserve the equal protection of the laws. Some have suggested a strategy of appeasement, that compromising with a little bit of discrimination against a particularly misunderstood and powerless segment of our community could satisfy anti-equality opponents. We have fought these same opponents for decades in state houses, in Congress, and at the ballot box, and we can say unequivocally that this strategy will not work. The letter ended with a gentle but firm plea, showing sympathy and understanding toward those who might express confusion on the matter, while still communicating that it is inexcusable to throw LGBTQ people under the bus for the sake of one's political career. We can acknowledge that Americans of good faith, including our political leaders, don't always have a full understanding of people who are different from them, and the LGBTQ community is not exempt. Now this news from the U.S. Department of Education. The Education Department plans to lay off more than 1,300 of its employees as part of an effort to halve the organization's staff, a prelude to President Donald Trump's plan to dismantle the agency. Department officials announced the cuts Tuesday, raising questions about the agency's ability to continue usual operations. The Trump administration had already been whittling the agency's staff through buyout offers and the termination of probationary employees. After Tuesday's layoffs, the Education Department staff will sit at roughly half of its previous 4,100, the agency said. The layoffs are part of a dramatic downsizing directed by Trump as he moves to reduce the footprint of the federal government. Thousands of jobs are expected to be cut across other agencies such as the Department of Veterans Affairs and the Social Security Administration, among others. The department is also terminating leases on buildings in cities including New York, Boston, Chicago, and Cleveland, officials said. Department officials said it would continue to deliver on its key functions, such as the distribution of federal aid to schools, student loan management, and oversight of Pell Grants. Education Secretary Linda McMahon said when she got to the department, she wanted to reduce bloat, to be able to send more money to local education authorities. So many of the programs are really excellent, so we need to make sure the money goes to the states, McMahon said in an interview Tuesday on Fox News. McMahon told employees to brace for profound cuts in a memo issued March 3rd, the day she was confirmed by the Senate. She said it was the department's final mission to eliminate bureaucratic bloat and turn over the agency's authorities to states. The department sent an email to employees Tuesday telling them its Washington headquarters and regional offices would be closed Wednesday with access forbidden before reopening Thursday. The only reason given for the closures was unspecified security reasons. And we close today's newscast with this crushing story about nuts. No pun intended. California almond growers are used to dealing with swings in the weather and water supply. Now they must also grapple with the uncertainty of trade battles as the Trump administration levies tariffs on goods from several countries and weighs adding more to the list. With more than 3/4 of California's almond crop headed for export, tariffs could impact where the nut is headed and send ripple effects throughout the state's economy, experts said. The state is the biggest producer of the world's almonds, accounting for about 80% of the global supply. Already, China has responded to Trump's move by raising tariffs on U.S. almonds, and that's on top of tariffs levied on the nut in the last Trump administration. If we start a trade war with, India, the European Union, parts of the Middle East, then the almond industry in California is going to suffer dramatically, said Colin Carter, agricultural economist and professor emeritus at University of California, Davis campus. The price will fall even further, and you'll see orchards being ripped out, farms being lost. There'd be farms for sale up and down the valley. That's the news at this hour. Be sure to download the Live 365 app to take PEP Radio with you wherever you go. Stay tuned for more Women's History Month programs Monday through Friday at noon. But now, back to more music on PEP Radio.